I don't really, if I had a chance to talk to Katt about anything, I would just ask him what's wrong.
This is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless.
By the time I was 30, I was homeless. When I was homeless,
That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago. He was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week.
Hey, well, let me tell you something about Steve, though, man. Certain people, when they, like you say, you're a gatekeeper, certain people get to that place and the white man's money is more relevant than their scheme.
He's been bringing up stuff from her past, and now people are saying she's allegedly stepping in and confronting him. Things just got way messier than anybody expected. Steve thought he was scoring points by throwing another shot at Katt, acting like it was no big deal. But Katt pretty much said, okay, cool, and spun the whole situation right back around on him fast. But Katt didn't stop with Steve alone. He pulled Marjorie right into the middle of the drama, and now everybody online is locked in talking about it. People are digging through old stories, old rumors, and even past interviews, trying to figure out what's really true and what's just talk. Now let's back things up for a second, because the history between Katt Williams and Steve Harvey is way deeper than people realize. Their feud really took off after Katt accused Steve Harvey of copying joke material and exaggerating parts of his struggle story, including claims about being homeless. Those comments had people debating non-stop. And then there's Marjorie's side of the story. She first met Steve at a comedy club in Memphis, and according to the story, Steve saw her and instantly felt a connection. They hit it off quickly, but after only a few weeks, Marjorie disappeared from the picture. Rumors started spreading that Steve wasn't financially secure back then, and people still bring that up today.
The first time that I was aware of Marjorie, his present wife, I had nothing else left. I had nothing else to say. There were no more words. There were no more prayers. And at that moment, I had given it all. I had given it all for the sake of my family, for the sake of my marriage, for the sake of my foundation. But I'm starting to feel it, so bear with me. When I intercepted the phone call and Marjorie, his present wife, was on the phone, that was when I realized that it had really crossed over into something.
Now fast forward to 2005, and things suddenly changed. Steve and Marjorie reconnected, but this time the situation looked completely different because Steve was finally making serious money and building a bigger name for himself. That's when Marjorie reportedly decided to give the relationship another shot, and people say that's where the real drama started heating up. At the time, Steve was still married to his second wife, Mary Shackelford, and later on, Mary publicly claimed that Steve was allegedly involved with Marjorie before the divorce was officially finished. Those accusations instantly had people paying attention because the timeline started looking complicated real quick. But Mary didn't stay silent about any of it. She came forward with claims that after the split, Steve took their son Winton with him, and that the court battle completely turned her world upside down. Mary also alleged that she was pushed out emotionally and financially after everything collapsed. On top of that, rumors started spreading that Marjorie was heavily influencing decisions behind the scenes and encouraging Steve to distance himself from Mary completely.
but I kid you not, the first word I ever said to her was, I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna marry you one day. That's the first thing I said.
Then the public back and forth got even uglier. Steve began speaking openly in interviews and media appearances, calling Mary bitter and toxic, while also claiming she was creating problems for their son. Meanwhile, Katt Williams kept throwing subtle hints about the whole situation for years. According to Katt, no matter how polished the public image looked, a lot of people never fully believed the story being presented. Before she ever became Mrs. Harvey, Marjorie already had a complicated past that people still talk about today. She had reportedly been married twice before Steve entered the picture. Her first husband was said to be a man named Jim Townsend, and according to public reports, he became tied to serious illegal activity that later grabbed federal attention. Over the years, rumors spread claiming Marjorie may have been connected to that lifestyle too, although nothing was ever proven against her in court. At the time, both the FBI and DEA were reportedly investigating the situation, and Jim eventually faced a major federal case involving large-scale drug charges. Reports say he was pressured to cooperate during the investigation, but in the end, he received a life sentence and spent decades behind bars before later being released through a presidential pardon in 2017. Through all of that, Marjorie was never charged with any crime. A few years into Jim's sentence, Marjorie reportedly filed for divorce and moved on with her life. Not long after, reports claim she became involved with Jim's cousin, Donnell Woods. But that situation also became controversial because Donnell later faced serious legal problems of his own and served time as well.
Okay, baby, where did I meet you?
Oh,
First time we met.
Memphis,
Where?
at a comedy club.
Okay, how did we meet? Tell them exactly how we met. Tell them first thing I said to you. Tell them how we met.
I was late.
You were late. Came to a comedy club. She came down with her girlfriend. When I saw her, I quit breathing.
That's the part that keeps people talking online even now. Some started connecting the dots, fairly or unfairly, after Marjorie later reunited with Steve right around the time his career was climbing to another level, and her relationship with Donnell reportedly came to an end too. Then came 2007, and Steve and Marjorie officially tied the knot. From that point on, they built a polished public image centered around love, success, and the idea of the perfect blended family. Steve even adopted Marjorie's 3 children, Morgan, Jason, and Lori, while already raising 4 kids of his own. As the years went on, the couple became known for giving relationship advice, speaking about loyalty, marriage, and how to make blended families work together. But online, people never fully stopped talking about the past. Old rumors, timelines, and family dynamics still get brought up constantly whenever their names start trending. And recently, a whole different conversation has been picking up attention, especially when it comes to Marjorie Harvey.
I wasn't even talking.
So I came with my girlfriend. I was late, and I thought he was going to give me the business because he got real quiet. He was just staring at me. So I was waiting on him to, how they, okay, what time's your ticket say, I thought I was going to become part of the show. So he stopped the show, and he just kept staring at me. So now it's kind of awkward because it's a little bitty comedy club.
Hey, it wasn't that little.
Okay, so a comedy club is small if y'all are sitting at tables.
Yeah, well, it's 300-seater. That's a comedy club. Probably was the biggest in the whole Southeast.
Some critics online feel like Marjorie heavily encourages Lori's spotlight image and keeps her connected to celebrity headlines and high-profile dating stories. At the same time, people have noticed that her other children don't seem to get nearly as much public attention. That observation alone has sparked non-stop debates across social media. There are even people online claiming Marjorie helped Lori learn how to carefully navigate the celebrity dating world and public image game. And of course, the internet has had a lot of opinions about that too. And that's where things started getting even more intense online, because every time Lori entered a new high-profile relationship, social media instantly turned it into a huge discussion about strategy, image, and influence. Some people praised her for keeping things classy and low drama, while others kept questioning whether the spotlight around her dating life was being carefully managed behind the scenes. What really added to the conversation was how different Lori's public image felt compared to the rest of the Harvey family. She became one of the most talked about names in celebrity culture, constantly trending over who she was seen with, what she posted, or even what event she attended. Meanwhile, critics online started accusing the family of turning relationships into branding opportunities, though supporters argued Lori was simply living a life publicly like many celebrities do. Then, Katt Williams stepped back into the mix with more comments that had people raising eyebrows again. He didn't directly call anyone out by name in every interview, but fans quickly connected the dots and started revisiting old clips, old rumors, and old stories involving Steve and Marjorie. Suddenly, conversations that had faded away years ago were trending all over again. And once social media grabbed hold of it, the situation exploded fast because everybody suddenly had an opinion and nobody seemed ready to let the topic die down. The pressure really started building once older interviews and clips began resurfacing online again. People were digging through years of footage, comparing stories, timelines, and public statements, trying to spot contradictions for themselves. Every little comment suddenly became part of a bigger conversation, and social media turned it into non-stop debate almost overnight. What made things even more awkward was that Steve had spent years building a reputation around giving advice on relationships, loyalty, and personal growth. So once critics started bringing up past allegations and family drama again, some people questioned whether his public image fully matched the stories being discussed online. Supporters defended him immediately, saying people were unfairly dragging up old situations just to create controversy.
So I came late, I came down front with my girlfriend. Our seats were right here at the front, right by the stage. So we were sitting here, the stage was here. So he's just quiet. He just keeps staring at me. So I'm waiting on him to make me a part of the show so we can get on with the show. So he stayed quiet so long staring at me. Now everybody in the club was looking at me. And so he finally realized, okay, I got to say something. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm gonna marry her.
Meanwhile, others kept pointing out how carefully controlled the Harvey family brand always seemed to be. From television appearances to social media posts, everything looked polished and organized, which only fueled more speculation from critics who believed there was more happening behind the scenes than the public ever got to see. And through all of this, Katt Williams kept becoming the center of attention without even saying much. Fans online started treating his older interviews like hidden clues, replaying certain moments and claiming he had been hinting at these conversations long before everybody else caught on. That's when the internet really started spiraling with theories, reactions, and non-stop commentary everywhere. As the conversations kept spreading, people also started looking closer at Steve's relationships inside the entertainment industry. A lot of fans noticed that over the years, several comedians and celebrities had quietly taken shots at him or hinted that things behind the scenes weren't always as positive as they appeared publicly. That suddenly gave old interviews a whole new meaning once clips started circulating again online. Some critics claimed Steve had spent years carefully protecting his image while distancing himself from controversy whenever it got too close. Others argued that's just how Hollywood works, and that every major celebrity tries to control their public reputation. Still, the timing of everything happening at once made the situation feel way bigger than a normal celebrity feud. At the same time, people began revisiting Katt Williams' reputation for speaking openly about industry politics and celebrity culture. Even people who didn't always agree with him admitted that he had a history of saying things that later sparked bigger conversations. That's why every new interview or appearance from Katt suddenly became must-watch content online. Then another layer got added to the drama when fans noticed Steve wasn't really responding directly to all the renewed attention. Instead of going back and forth publicly, he mostly stayed focused on his shows and business moves. But online, many people saw the silence as making the speculation grow even louder. And once people noticed Steve staying quiet, the internet took that silence and ran with it fast. Some viewers believed he was trying to avoid giving the situation any more attention, while others argued that staying silent only made people more suspicious. Every post, every appearance, and even small facial reactions during interviews started getting analyzed online like they contained hidden meaning. Meanwhile, old stories involving the Harvey family kept getting pulled back into public discussion. Fans and critics alike started debating whether the family's polished image was completely authentic or simply well-managed for television and social media. Supporters pushed back hard against the criticism, though, saying people were unfairly turning rumors and speculation into facts without real proof.
Just what's wrong? Let's go to that. Listen to me, man. Just because a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true. That just don't mean it's true, man. And I probably shouldn't have said anything. That's a regret I have. I really shouldn't have said nothing. Because we not in the same league, though.
At the center of all this, Marjorie's name kept trending more and more. People online were revisiting everything from her early relationships to her influence within the family dynamic. Some defended her completely and called the attacks disrespectful, while others insisted there were still unanswered questions surrounding the past. The non-stop back and forth turned social media into a battlefield of opinions almost every day. Then things escalated again when more creators and podcast hosts started covering the situation. Once larger platforms joined the conversation, the drama reached an even bigger audience, and suddenly everybody seemed to have their own theory about what was really happening behind the scenes. As bigger platforms kept picking up the story, the conversation started shifting beyond just gossip and celebrity drama. More people began questioning how much of Hollywood is built around carefully crafted public images versus what actually happens behind closed doors. The Harvey family suddenly became one of the biggest examples being debated online, and the opinions were all over the place. Some viewers felt Steve's long-running success in television and business proved he had worked hard to reinvent himself and move past old controversies. Others argued that fame makes it easier for celebrities to reshape narratives and control how situations are remembered publicly. That debate alone kept social media active non-stop because nobody could fully agree on where the truth actually landed. At the same time, Katt Williams continued getting praised by fans who believed he was exposing uncomfortable conversations people usually avoid in entertainment circles. Clips of his interviews kept spreading everywhere, with viewers breaking down his comments line by line and trying to connect them to older rumors surrounding Steve and Marjorie. Every viral post seemed to spark another wave of reactions. Then, another twist hit the internet when people started noticing how quickly old celebrity friendships around Steve became part of the discussion too. Fans began revisiting past tensions, awkward interviews, and industry rivalries, wondering if there had always been hidden issues bubbling beneath the surface all along. The deeper people looked into those old industry relationships, the more complicated everything started to seem. Fans were pulling up clips from years ago, pointing out uncomfortable moments, subtle comments, and interviews that suddenly sounded very different now that all this attention was back on Steve and Marjorie again. What once looked harmless to viewers was now getting dissected frame by frame online.
We shooting at two different baskets. I shouldn't even have said nothing. And so really, man, I think I would apologize to him if he took offense to what I said. I was joking, but I would apologize to him. And like I said, if I had a chance to sit down with him, I would just say, hey, man, what's wrong? But you got to look at the whole tone of the interview. If the whole tone of the interview is what everybody else ain't, what everybody else ain't got, what everybody else doing.
Some people even started claiming there had always been quiet tension between Steve and certain comedians behind the scenes, especially with those who felt he changed after reaching mainstream success. Supporters pushed back hard on that idea though, arguing that success naturally creates critics, and that not every disagreement means there's hidden drama attached to it. Meanwhile, Katt Williams supporters kept fueling the conversation by reposting older clips where he talked about honesty and entertainment and celebrities protecting their public image. Even when he wasn't directly naming names, viewers believed the message was obvious enough. That only kept the speculation growing stronger across podcasts, reaction videos, and social media threads every single day. And while the internet argued non-stop, Steve and Marjorie kept presenting the same polished image publicly. They continued appearing at events, posting family moments, and focusing on business ventures like nothing unusual was happening around them. But online, many people saw that calm public approach as making the mystery around the whole situation feel even bigger. That contrast between the polished public image and the non-stop online speculation is exactly what kept people hooked on the story. Every time Steve and Marjorie posted smiling photos or appeared together at major events, the comment sections instantly filled up with debates, theories, and people bringing up old headlines all over again. It became almost impossible for them to post anything without the internet turning it into another discussion. At the same time, some fans started defending the couple more aggressively than ever. They argued that no celebrity family should be judged entirely by rumors, internet gossip, or resurfaced stories from years ago. According to supporters, Steve and Marjorie had built a successful life together despite all the criticism constantly surrounding them. But critics weren't backing down either. A lot of people believed the renewed attention was exposing cracks in a carefully managed image that had been protected for years. Others simply felt that once celebrities publicly give relationship advice and present themselves as examples of success, people naturally began questioning whether the private reality matches the public message. Meanwhile, Katt Williams kept becoming a bigger figure in the conversation without needing to constantly respond. Fans continued replaying his interviews, saying his comments carried more weight now than they did when he first made them. And the more those clips spread online, the harder it became for the discussion to slow down at all. By this point, the situation had grown way beyond a simple back and forth between comedians. It turned into one of those celebrity stories where every new interview, social media post, or resurfaced clip added another layer to the conversation. People weren't just talking about Steve, Marjorie, or Katt anymore. They were debating fame, image control, loyalty, and how much of celebrity culture is actually real behind the scenes.
I think that's kind of like hate and jealousy. And hate and jealousy is a form of grief. You're grieving because obviously all them people you talking about have something you either want or are something that you ain't. And you're grieving, and the funeral becomes the podcast. So now let me roast all of these people. And be honest with you, man, and I'm not talking about him particular, but if you go on a podcast to degrade and belittle another group of people, that's a little bitch move to me.
What kept the topic alive was how divided the internet stayed about everything. Some viewers believed Katt Williams was simply speaking his mind and forcing uncomfortable conversations into the open. Others felt the online reaction had gotten completely out of control and that too many assumptions were being treated like confirmed facts. That split in opinions made the debate even louder every single week. Meanwhile, Steve's longtime fans pointed out that despite all the criticism and rumors, he continued building businesses, hosting shows, and maintaining his place in entertainment. To them, the constant controversy looked more like internet noise than anything damaging. But critics argued the resurfacing stories still raised questions people couldn't ignore so easily. And honestly, the biggest reason this story kept trending was because nobody seemed fully ready to move on. Every time the attention started slowing down, another clip, another interview, or another viral post pulled everybody right back into the drama again. And just when people thought the conversation was finally cooling off, another wave of reaction started flooding social media again. This time, viewers focused on how quickly celebrity narratives can shift depending on who controls the spotlight. One minute, someone is being praised online, and the next minute, old controversy suddenly returned and changed the entire public conversation overnight. A lot of people began pointing out how carefully celebrities build their brands in modern entertainment. From interviews to social media posts, every move gets watched closely, especially when someone becomes known for giving life or relationship advice publicly. That's why Steve and Marjorie continued facing extra scrutiny, as these old stories kept resurfacing again and again. Meanwhile, Katt Williams' role in all of this kept getting bigger, without him needing to add much at all. Fans were still replaying older interviews, claiming many of his comments sounded completely different now compared to when he originally said them years ago. Some even argued that his willingness to speak openly is exactly why his interviews keep going viral long after they happen. At the center of everything, the internet remained completely divided. Some people saw this as overdue accountability and honest discussion, while others believed the situation had turned into non-stop speculation, fueled by social media drama and viral content culture. As the debate kept growing, another thing people started noticing was how fast clips and rumors spread once major blogs and entertainment pages picked them up. A single interview moment could suddenly turn into thousands of reposts, reaction videos, and heated comment sections within hours. That's exactly what happened here, and it pushed the conversation way beyond just comedy fans or celebrity gossip watchers.
Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. The reason you was supposed to go last is because it was your tour. Tell the truth. It was Steve's tour. These are the guys opening for him. Of course you gotta close if it's your tour. That's why it was such a big deal. But you couldn't do it, because you can't beat the best. And until you humble yourself, you will forever be kinged by the king. And because you finally did it, because you had no other choice, and now that he gone, you going, he wanted to be a movie star.
Some viewers felt the internet was digging way too deeply into private family matters, especially when it came to Steve and Marjorie's children being constantly mentioned online. Others argued that once public figures build brands around relationships and family values, people naturally become curious about the stories behind the image. That disagreement alone kept the topic trending non-stop across multiple platforms. Meanwhile, older clips of Steve giving relationship advice started getting compared side by side with resurfaced allegations and rumors from the past. Critics claimed the contrast looked uncomfortable, while supporters defended him by saying people change and grow over time. The reaction stayed split right down the middle, and neither side seemed willing to back down at all. At the same time, Katt Williams continued gaining attention for being one of the few entertainers willing to challenge powerful industry figures publicly. Whether people agreed with him or not, many admitted he knew exactly how to keep audiences talking long after the interviews ended. The longer the story stayed alive online, the more people started paying attention to the timing of everything being brought up. Some viewers questioned why certain old clips and interviews suddenly began resurfacing all at once, while others believed social media simply found a new obsession and refused to let it go. Either way, the attention around Steve, Marjorie, and Katt kept getting bigger by the day. Another thing fueling the conversation was how differently each side handled the spotlight. Katt Williams continued leaning into bold interviews and unpredictable commentary, which only made fans more curious about what he might say next. Steve, on the other hand, stayed mostly focused on his television appearances, business projects, and public events without directly feeding the online arguments. That difference in approach created even more speculation. Some people viewed Steve's silence as confidence, while critics argued it looked like he was trying to avoid reopening uncomfortable discussions tied to the past. Meanwhile, Marjorie remained a major topic herself, with social media users constantly debating her influence on both the Harvey family image and Lori's celebrity presence.
You stop it. You stop it. That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it because you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest, period. Every time. And that's why no audience member was ever swayed. It didn't matter where Bernie went. You think if Bernie went first, he wasn't the king? Get out of here.
And at this stage, the internet wasn't even treating it like a normal celebrity feud anymore. For many viewers, it had turned into a larger conversation about fame, reputation, power, and how quickly public opinion can shift once old stories start circulating again. One comment online said, "Steve always gives advice about peace. He went left. As far as his wife Marjorie, her past speaks for herself. He cheated on his ex-wife and took her son completely away from her. Karma is real. Marjorie is gonna see who God is. Karma real." And after that, the reactions just kept pouring in fast. Another person wrote, "Marjorie is a gold digger and trained her daughter Lori to be one too." Social media users immediately started debating those claims, with some agreeing and others saying the internet was taking things way too far without knowing the full truth behind the situation. But the comments didn't stop there either. Somebody else added, "Wasn't she gone with Steve Harvey's cousin first? Not to mention the dealer she was with before him. Steve cut his own children off and claimed her daughter is his. Lady Heroin is the perfect fitting name for her." That comment alone sparked another huge argument online, with people split between defending the family and criticizing the resurfaced rumors. At this point, the comment sections are completely packed with people revisiting old stories, sharing opinions, and connecting dots based on everything that's been circulating lately. But at the end of the day, a lot of these discussions are still based on speculation, public reactions, and personal opinions rather than confirmed facts. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think really happened here? And what's your take on everything that's been surfacing lately? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you made it this far, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video so you don't miss any future updates on this situation.